Well, I'm Amanda Siewert. I'm an elementary teacher, and I'm also a part of the Colorado ASCD board. And I am passionate about finding many ways for students to reach these high expectations, as I'm sure every educator is. But I'm going to be doing that through design thinking. So just take a look here. You can use design thinking with your students, and that's what I'm going to talk about with my presentation. But you're a designer too. Educators, it's just natural. You're creating it, but there's an awareness of the world around you and that you can make a difference. And so that's what I try to do with my students. This is what design thinking looks like. There are 5 different steps, but of course, it doesn't have to go in order like that all the time. You just have to eventually get through all of those steps. Right now, there's a lot of talk of project-based learning, and I am lucky to work at a school that does implement project-based learning. You can see the circle is the components that you need for PBL, and then on the outside, those are the icons of design thinking, so they go hand in hand. Now, I've given this before, and a lot of people have asked me, whether they're a principal, how do I get my teachers to be comfortable with this? And then if they're a teacher, how do I get my administration to be on board with this? Well, talking about standards is certainly a persuasive point. So I have put in all of the steps for design thinking, as well as what part of PBL that goes with, and then the English language arts standards that it follows. So that's kind of the format that I go here. The discovery stage, I have a challenge. How do I approach it? Follows a lot of different standards, which are gone now because it's 15 seconds. But what does it look like in the classroom? It could be doing research online. It can also be hands-on learning, which of course I would encourage, as well as talking to experts. The second step is interpretation. Now that they've learned something, how do they figure out what to do with it? So it's very inquiry-driven. They're evaluating information. They're making connections. They definitely have to figure out main ideas and themes. And so what does that look like in a classroom? Right here, this is a model of what we did in our classes today with our elementary school, actually. They started writing down their need to knows and their ideas, and then we categorized them. It can also be with younger kids, talking to an expert again, asking them questions to help clarify. The third step, ideation, happens to be one of my favorite parts of it. I have an opportunity, what do I create with it? And that's really thinking of your task, your purpose, and your audience. In the classroom, again with the sticky notes, I'm sticky note happy, they write down their ideas, and it could be with pictures, it could be with labels, it could be with paragraphs, whatever they're comfortable with, but any idea goes. So now that they've done all this learning, they should be able to be pretty reasonable with their ideas, but anything is okay. Experimentation is the 4th, so this is where they actually start building, and this is the makers and, you know, some of those buzzwords, but it really falls in here. And collaborative discussions is where I intentionally teach this part. So you can see that students, they have different materials where they start creating. It can be with a material like Legos, but you can see they have their plans, they have books to help guide them with that. It can be with cardboard and plastic sheets on the other side. But they're getting feedback at that point, and I think that's key there. The 5th step is evolution. So now that I've tried it, how am I going to change it? Because there has to be that reflective product. This is also where they start presenting it as well. So they have to think about how words are really impacting their message. They have to think about their presentation and their delivery. So in the classroom, that really looks like, you know, getting on technology, practicing their own presentations, and revising their work throughout. And that is a collaborative piece. And the reason that we do that is to celebrate. Do you like the Minions? As a teacher, when you kick off one of these new projects, that's your celebration piece. You've gone through design thinking. You can really feel good about that. For kids, they got to the end of this really inquiry-driven, hard project. Yes, celebrate that. And then, so when I first started looking at design thinking, of course, you can Google it, and then you get a mess of things there. So I thought it would help out if it sparked your interest at all. Definitely go to designthinkingforeducators.com. It has how designers in the real world do it and how teachers do it. It's perfect. And the reason that we do this, I really want to take it back to this, is so that kids are engaged. They have an awareness of the world around them. They have a belief that they can play a role in that, and they can take action to a more desirable future. So you have 15 seconds. Reflect on what being a designer means to you. I'm with you. All right, and some reading material. This book right here, Change by Design by Tim Brown. He's an actual graphic designer. He's in the design world, but I like to read those kinds of things so that I can relate it to education, and always ask, how might we start implementing that? How might we as a big key in design thinking?